Greetings, Collective Coven, and happy retrograde season. This is Trey, aka Taboo Tarot Reader, author of Astrology for Divination, hopping on the YouTubes to offer a little Tarotscope in honor of the final Mercury retrograde of 2024. Buckle up, buttercups. In this Tarotscope, we will deep dive into the Martian realms of Scorpio, death and sex. So this is going to be a Tarotscope which uses the tarot as a supporting tool to help any soul tuning in out in the collective coven to visualize and work with these astrological energies via the framework of archetypes and correspondences. So this framework is resting on the principle that astrological transits and planetary transits correspond with different tarot archetypes. So this is something that interests you. Welcome, dearly beloved. Woo! Mercury in retrograde. Hoovers, booty calls, situationships. But this final Mercury retrograde of 2024 is in the sign of Scorpio, directly opposite Uranus retrograde and Jupiter retrograde in Taurus. Now, Mercury is in retrograde motion according to the Vedic Lahiri zodiac, which I use in all my Astro Witch work, from November 25th through December 15th, 2024 in Scorpio. And November 30th through December 2nd, 2024, we are experiencing a powerful triple conjunction of the Sun, Moon, and Mercury in retrograde in Scorpio. Scorpio season according to Vedic astrology. And then, to make this energy even more juicy, December 2nd through December 4th, 2024, we experience the new moon along the Scorpio-Sagittarius cusp. So buckle up, buttercups. It's going to be a deep dive. If you are still with me, thank you so much. Let's begin. Now, Mercury in the tarot can correspond with the Magician, major arcana. Mercury in Scorpio is not happy. The Magician is very weak in Scorpio. This is a malefic space for the Magician to be traversing. Why is this? Well, in the Vedic planetary system, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, currently debilitated in Cancer, about to also station retrograde December 6th in Cancer. So stay tuned for maybe a different Tarotscope. But Mars and Mercury in Vedic astrology are primordial nemesis. They do not vibe. So Mercury is not necessarily happy to be traversing through the Martian realms of Scorpio. The Magician is perhaps in need of conjuring up their creativity to manifest more optimal outcomes. Now, the moon, debilitated in Scorpio, can correspond with the High Priestess, major arcana. So right here, the Magician and the Priestess, right? We have the first and second major arcanas. And these characters have an interesting dynamic, situationship, perhaps, but they are both on similar paths. And this could be a clash of personalities who seemingly have a similar desire for control, but they go about expressing that in different ways. You could really dive deep into all the intricacies of the relationship between the high priestess and the magician. Now, we also have another character coming into play, the Knight of Cups. This can correspond with the Libra Scorpio cusp. And again, I'm sensing here, a lot of malefic energy, again, surrounding this Knight of Cups character. This character, I'm sensing, is embodying a test of devotion, especially for the High Priestess and the Magician. Are they devoted to a certain relationship, or are they devoted to their spiritual path? That may be the question. Just adjusting the camera a little bit better, yes. Now, we also have here the Six of Cups, corresponding with the Sun in Scorpio. Pleasure. Perhaps in the malefic, a love bomb, love bombing, hoovering, things of that nature. And then the Sun and the Moon, major arcanas, obviously, coming into play to round out this triple conjunction energy of the Sun, Moon, and Mercury in retrograde in Scorpio. So I'm sensing here that there's a lot of hidden shadow power dynamics. Mercury rules communication, the way we exchange information. Mercury, in many traditions, is viewed as the translator of the gods. So there's I'm sensing opportunity for these characters perhaps to speak truth to power with one another. Because I'm sensing here, again, these themes between whoever in your story is embodying the Magician, the High Priestess, and the Knight of Cups. For some people, their minds could instantly be going to a third-party situation. The gutter buckets are like, this seems like a third-party situation to me, in which the Knight of Cups perhaps is embodying the third party. And with the Six of Cups here, this is telling me that this is a situationship, potentially a third-party situation, in which someone caught the feels when the terms and conditions were purely sexual, Knight of Cups. But someone caught the feels. Who that is remains to be seen. And if that is your story, if you are navigating a third-party situation, I definitely feel with the Moon that this is a hidden third-party situation potentially coming to light during this Mercury retrograde cycle. And this could draw to your conscious awareness, especially whoever is embodying the High Priestess. This could draw to the High Priestess conscious awareness the trauma responses potentially of the Knight of Cups. Now, a Knight of Cups could have a trauma response of fawning, people-pleasing, schmoozing, like in Hollywood, the way, like, and anytime there's movie promos, the way people just schmooze and fawn over these celebrities, like, making a movie was such a brave act of humanity. That's fawning. And to know that fawning is a form of gaslighting, actually, because the Knight of Cups doesn't have the purest of intentions necessarily when they're spitting out all those sweet words, them empty nothings. Sweet nothings is a Knight of Cups love bombing. And I'm sensing the love bombing is with their words. Text messages, a hoover of I miss you, I'm not worthy of you. They're self-deprecating themselves, or the Knight of Cups could be using highly sexualized compliments as a form of love bombing. And the High Priestess should know that this is all gaslighting. This is all emotional manipulation in which the Knight of Cups is trying to use their words to trigger an emotional reaction. And so perhaps the High Priestess needs to hit any Hoover with the whip of silence. And the Magician, Mercury in Scorpio. Again, this is invoking reading between the lines of all communications. And that many knights do not mean what they say. Read between the lines, boo-boo. That is what the Magician I'm sensing is invoking here. Really, if you are feeling weak like the Magician and someone hits you up at the great big old blue, hey babe, really think, okay, am I gonna respond to this really mediocre attempt to get my attention and to emotionally manipulate me? Or am I gonna wise up and level up like the High Priestess and be like, I recognize the psychology of exactly what this knight is intending. Because again, this is the malefic aspects of Scorpio energy. Misguided sexuality, sexual lust. In addition to, I'm sensing here, again, I keep feeling this sense of like a test of devotion. Is the High Priestess devoted to wasting their precious energy, their creative energy, by fucking around and finding out with some knight? Or is the High Priestess gonna devote their energy to the path of least resistance? Just a question to ponder. Because again, the Sun in Scorpio, Six of Cups, is all about pleasure. And perhaps the High Priestess and the Magician here could explore that together. Because if a third party situation isn't your story, this could be a story of polyamory as well for all my poly folks out there, in which the main twosome is seeking to bring in an exciting third. And that this could be a test of jealousy for the Magician character especially. Because in Vedic astrology, Mercury, the Sun, and the Moon don't necessarily vibe. So there's like underlying tension here in any polyamorous situation in which one character perhaps says, I'm absolutely fine with bringing in a third. I don't feel any jealousy or attachment. And another person could be self-deceiving and self-gaslighting and say, oh yeah, I'm fine with it too. But then when the third actually manifests and they're getting kinky with it, all of a sudden, someone may have jealousy flare up from the depths of their trauma, I'm sensing. And that this is a common dynamic in polyamorous situationships in which usually the person whose jealousy is triggered is projected onto the third, who is coming into the situation with less power to negotiate. Because the pre-existing twosome ultimately will remain loyal, devoted to each other, and they will ultimately potentially scapegoat the third if any tensions overboil to the surface. But this is just what I'm seeing and sensing if you are in a poly situationship. Okay? So let's just sit with that information, let that sink and settle. We're spilling all the tea today. So much tea has been spilled so far during this triple conjunction of the Sun, Moon, and Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Check out my Instagram at Astrology for Divination for all the latest astro news to see what is manifesting. But there's been a lot of tea, lots of tea. So I hope y'all are thirsty. The thirst is real in Scorpio season. Woo! Thirsty kitties. Now, this new moon energy along the Scorpio Sagittarius cusp just further gives this situation added depths or dynamics. Now, coming into play, we have potential another character, the King of Wands, corresponding to the Scorpio Sagittarius cusp. So we have the duality of fire and water here. The wands and the cups. Okay. Now we also have the minor arcana, the Nine of Wands, corresponding with the moon in Sagittarius. A strong space, a very strong space for the moon to be in. The High Priestess will be very happy once the moon transitions into Sagittarius, because that is the Jupiter realms. And in Vedic astrology, Jupiter and the moon have a very strong, important relationship. So this will be like a breath of fresh air for the High Priestess. This will maybe create some space for the High Priestess to work with the energies a little bit more. And then we also have the Temperance major arcana, okay? Strong Sagittarius energy. Now, whoever is embodying the King of Wands energy in your story is someone who is very confident, someone who is a take charge, very active personality. This is someone who is creative, potentially like the Magician. So the Magician and the King of Wands can have a creative professional relationship, and that's the entanglement for some people in their story. You know, any mercurial transits, keep in mind that these characters could also be manifesting in the workspace, and that these could be hidden shadow power dynamics in the workspace. But I'm sensing for many people, if it's not manifesting in the workspace, it's manifesting in interpersonal relationships and situationships. Now, this King of Wands, I'm sensing underneath this confidence is, with the Nine of Wands, is some deep inner wounds. Perhaps that one of these characters is reflecting. They're reflecting some type of, again, trauma response. And the King of Wands, in its more malefic aspects, can be someone who is an overt narcissist. Someone who has a very low self-esteem, actually, and that all that confidence is a performance for validation. And with the Temperance coming in here to play, again, Jupiter energy. Jupiter is currently retrograde in Taurus, with Uranus retrograde in Taurus. I'm sensing the King of Wands is someone from the past. Now, this energy being embodied by someone from a past situationship, potentially someone who's hoovering back around, and it's triggering some old pain, Nine of Wands, and there's an opportunity to finally transmute or alchemize that pain memory, that pain body with the temperance. And that's just what I'm seeing and sensing with this energy. But just keep in mind again, the moon in Sagittarius can be a very magical energy to work with in the sense of the temperance. It's all about alchemy, right? Reaching a sense of equilibrium between spirit and matter, the physical and the intangible. Reaching equilibrium between the yin and the yang, electricity and magnetism. The temperance is one of my favorite major arcanas, but in a more literal sense, this could be again about managing tempers being triggered by trifling troglodytes, tricks, and mid-mediocre knights who are out doing what them knights do. Never forget that a knight is always someone who is seeking more power and is generally resentful of their place in the hierarchy because they're not a king or queen, and that a knight is, I'm sensing in this context, the disrupting energy. I keep going back to this Knight of Cups, and I feel like this is the disruptive energy here. Whew. So perhaps the King of Wands, if the King of Wands in your story is showing up as a more benefic energy, it is to show the High Priestess, the Magician, there's better options out there to entangle with, potentially. But this is what I'm seeing and sensing. Now, if you subscribe to the correspondence of Scorpio with Pluto in Hellenistic Western astrology, we also have some other arcanas influencing these transits. So Pluto is currently transiting through Capricorn. This can correspond with the Death major arcana. For me, this is Scorpio's card in the tarot and corresponding with Pluto. The Devil major arcana, Capricorn's card, and Pluto and Capricorn. Like, Pluto and Capricorn is the devil, strong devil energy for me. Then we have the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, this is the Sagittarius Capricorn cusp, in which Venus is also currently transiting at this time. So for me, if you've been following any of my Tarotscope work, the Death and the Devil together is generally indicative of shadow work, a shadow work test, a shadow work opportunity that's inconvenient. Maybe perhaps a rude awakening for some of these characters surrounding toxicity for certain. Toxic behavior, covert narcissism. I'm sensing here. Yes. Okay. For some people in their stories, the Knight of Cups could be teaching them about covert narcissism, and the King of Wands could be teaching them about overt narcissism. And that there's a lot of toxicity in dynamics that are, I'm sensing here, casual dynamics. And I'm sensing the toxicity for the Knight of Cups could be substances, right? I definitely feel like this could be a person who needs to get drunk to have sex, which is always innately toxic. That devil's brew. that alcohol. Yeah. Definitely avoid drunk sex during Mercury retrogrades in Scorpio, boo-boos. Because that ish is toxic. And it's an opportunity to let go and let God. To cut the cord on people that you know are toxic, that you know are basic as fuck, that you know are gaslighting you, that you know are, ghosting you. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This could be manifesting as well a lot of ghosting, especially with Venus in, transiting Sagittarius, Capricorn cusp. Now, ghosting has been so normalized by our narcissistic culture, and it is a true cop-out because it is gaslighting you to believe that you do not deserve basic communication skills, especially if someone makes plans to meet you in person but doesn't have the time to send you a text message that on a whim they decided that you were no longer important and they just were going to cancel the plans without notifying you. The shadow work test is when they inevitably hoover you again to again hit them with the whip of silence. Ghost me once, shame on you. Ghost me twice, shame on me, because I didn't learn the lesson the first time. Because when someone ghosts you once, that is a one and done red flag. Again, when someone ghosts you, it's a one and done red flag because it is telling you that person doesn't even have the most basic common respect towards you and doesn't even, again, find you worthy enough of sending a text message that takes maybe like 10-30 seconds to formulate out of their day. No one is too busy to let you know that plans have been canceled. These are mindfuckery games that people play because they're bored and horny and they're testing. When someone is ghosting you, what they're doing is they're trying to test your boundaries to see what levels of toxicity they can or cannot get away with. And this is just what I'm seeing or sensing, especially again with the devil and the death card together. Now, the Queen of Pentacles energy is, I'm sensing here, again, this is invoking for many people I'm sensing on the other side of shadow work is accumulated wisdom. That's, the High Priestess in Scorpio, debilitated. The malefic aspects of the priestess can be seduction, right? Using the powers of the priestess for seduction versus elevation. And that the priestess may need to remember that one is tested by the shadows in order to, again, accumulate alchemical wisdom, in order to accumulate the experiences necessary to transmute the shadow into the light. And that's just what I'm seeing and sensing overall for this very intricate, complex combination of arcanas. Side note, on the note of shadow work on, Mercury, technology, algorithms, shadow banning may be high during this period. Just FYI. Again, do not fear the death and devil together. Okay? Do not fear the shadow work. Because there is no light without shadow, no yin without yang. And just take a look at the devil, major arcana. Go look at the lovers at this stage in the devil are not on their hands and knees being forced to submit their free will to the devil. No. The lovers are willfully submitting to the devil. So this could be willful ignorance for many people who know that a person they're entangled with is gaslighting them, lying to them, right? Is out doing God knows what with God knows whom and not communicating to them the truth about their intentions. So this could be about willful ignorance. The Queen of Pentacles. This can be a very much more conservative, traditional type who, when confronted with inconvenient truths, will disassociate and pretend like, oh my God, everything's fine. Everything's great. How are we doing? Oh my God, we're so good. We're great when you know they're not. They're not doing good. And excuse the interruption. Ugh, interfering energy. And so, coming back, again, this is about getting real. About the hidden shadow power dynamics. Even in casual hookups. Because when you think it's not that serious, you think, oh, we're just casual. We all parties involved know the terms and conditions. And there's no emotions. There's no attachments. It's really chill and casual. That is self-gaslighting because the hidden shadow power dynamics are always there. Even in casual hookup culture. So this could be a warning of incubus succubus shit to really be mindful, especially the magician I'm sensing here. If you feel like you have been entangled with a toxic energy vampire who drains your life force via sex, incubus succubus shit, with the magician, this is invoking retention of your sexual energy for certain, and to not be flippant with whom you share your sexual energy, because the Knight of Cups could be entangling you with a lot of basics, gutter buckets, and mediocre mids that you do not need to be entangled with. But this is what I'm seeing and sensing. Okay. If you are still with me, thank you so much. We're 33 minutes deep. Let's now wrap up this Tarotscope with a little bit of intuitive tarot. A final message. To help anyone tuning in integrate and apply this information to their personal story. Keep in mind, this is a collective Tarotscope. If you are interested in learning how the latest astrological transits are affecting you personally, check out my website for personal reading options, and we'll dive deep into your birth chart. So we'll be working with the occult tarot deck. This is very appropriate for this Mercury Retrograde in Scorpio Tarotscope. Spirit, what are the hidden supporting energies which the collective coven has a need to know in order to manifest optimal outcomes, smooth sailing during the final Mercury Retrograde, Mercury in retrograde. You know, it's all linguistics. Of 2024. It's Mercury in retrograde, not Mercury retrograde. Okay, Karen. Hey, Spirit, what is the final message? This is a thick deck. Ooh, there she goes. Ooh, we got here the Queen of Wands, more fire energy. Perhaps this queen is a side piece of that King of Wands. And the Nine of Cups. Well, well, well. The message from the Occult Tarot deck for the Nine of Cups is thus. Teaches logic, ethics, and the value of herbs and stones. Can make one invisible. Like a ghost, perhaps. Helps one to be intelligent and long-lived. Can recover lost items and find treasures. Yeah, I'm sensing here this is a message to if you get ghosted to know that that's to flip the script. That's actually something you should be thankful for, because ultimately that's bringing you into alignment to know that if someone ghosts you, because the Nine of Cups for me is a very self-contained energy. It's the Nine of Cups to me is when someone is very self-content. And so I keep coming back to this theme of ghosting, and to know that if someone says to you, I don't owe you anything. I owe you nothing. Well, in the context of if you made plans with someone, and again, they suddenly decide on a whim that you're no longer important to them, in fact, you're not even worthy of a text message, again, that is gaslighting, and it's also quite sociopathic, because why would anyone value not owing people just basic respect, common decency? You know, that's what I'm seeing and sensing here with the Nine of Cups. Now, the message for the Queen of Wands is thus. Teaches arts and sciences. Tells anything one desires to know. Gives dignities. Can make any man subject to one's demands. Well, well, well. And gives good familiars. Can make any man subject to one's demands. I demand an explanation as to why you are a mediocre piece of shit. You don't need to demand an explanation of why someone ghosted you. If they ghosted you, it's because they never respected you. It's because they're probably, again, a narcissist. It's telling you everything you already need to know. Again, ghost me once, shame on you. Ghost me twice, shame on me. Ghost me thrice, Well, fuck it. Just sounds like online dating. Perhaps with that death card and devil card, this is about renouncing the toxic minefield that is online dating, apps, and again, the temperance to really level up, Buttercup, and know, is it even worth it to participate in those spaces and places in 2024, knowing it's toxic as fuck, knowing online casual hookup culture breeds narcissism, breeds narcissistic abuse, normalizes ghosting? You know, these are all questions to have a think about. But these are the final messages, the hidden supporting energies. Interesting. Tarotscope. You tuned in all the way to the end of this Tarotscope. Thank you so much. Your presence is truly appreciated here. Every single comment, like, share, subscribe is truly appreciated. Let me know how you are navigating this final Mercury retrograde. I, as well, would like to say that anyone who comes to me for guidance for a personal reading, every reading includes a free astrological birth chart analysis of your Western and Vedic charts. And I know a lot of people aren't necessarily ready for Vedic. And a free copy of my ebook, Astrology for Divination, a 444-page guidebook to learn how to decode your birth chart intuitively. Astrology for Divination is a synthesis of Hellenistic Western, Vedic, and Mayan astrology. So it's definitely a deep dive, but alas, I am a deep diver. So again, if you are interested in a personal reading, head over to my website for Taboo Tarot Reader. Okay, link on my YouTube channel. Can check out as well the online ebook store there if you like to read books still. In addition, you can check out the Taboo Tarot deck. There's a lot of fun things to explore on my website. And like I said, if you don't already, please check me out on Instagram at Astrology for Divination for all the latest astro news, astrology case studies, and memology. Despite being shadow banned by the meta fascist algo, have been posting a lot recently, excuse me, during this final Mercury in retrograde. And I recently as well, on my YouTube, posted a episode of a new series I am intending to manifest called Astrology Weed, diving deep into the more occult, obscure aspects of astrology study. The first episode on my Instagram was about Jupiter and Uranus conjunctions, and the latest episode I just released on YouTube was about Pluto and Neptune conjunctions and mega cycles for the deep divers. So there's a lot of brain candy for you to explore, and thank you so much for tuning in. Toodaloo.